Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Al Stock Trades. In this video, we have some things to discuss. My voice is a little raspy right now. Uh, it's I think allergies or something. I don't know what it is, but we're gonna go ahead and power through it. Okay. There's a couple things I want you to know. So a couple of things on the housekeeping agenda I wanted to update you on. We're gonna go ahead and do a more market in-depth analysis because again, that takes time. It takes me hours to do the DD and then go ahead and share with you my findings as it's all based on data, right? It's not like I'm sitting down, sipping a like a coffee or something or like some elixir and staring into the astronomy of the economy where I'm like, what do I think is going to happen? No, it's all based on data. I look at what experts think and I take all the data and I formulate a thesis. So that takes time, and whenever there's a little change in the market, it's another you know what I mean? It's a process, right? Hey man, I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so a couple things on the housekeeping. All right. So recently I've been waiting miserably for a line, just like a line of code, right? A line of software code. Hello, hello, hello. To amplify our brain machine capabilities. Recently, Morningstar, had a little, I don't know why, but attacked fundamental investors. They don't have a specific collection of data sets to make it easy for you to parcelate through companies. So we are recreating that, but our platform, but it is taking some time because there's a lot of other things I want to include. And sadly, Rome was not built in one day. So I'm trying to build something that's going to last. People are going to use their whole life. So with that is hopefully almost in completion. I was supposed to get it yesterday, but didn't get. I was supposed to get it last week, but never got it. So hopefully next week will Tuesday, because Labor Day is Monday. So that's we'll definitely go ahead and go from there. What's this? The more followers you have, the more negativity will come your way. Double-edged sword, my friend. Oh yeah, no, it's fine. I saw the comments, but I read a lot of them, and there was a lot of accusations on the last video I had, and I was like, well, I mean, if these are true accusations, then oh boy. So I don't know. I guess freedom of speech, but I mean, I said, you guys know where I stand. I like to be nice and be cordial to people, and let God be the judge, right? Leave the rest to God, right? But that's how I am. Okay, so what are we going to do for these briefings? So it's September 3rd. Ideally, I wanted these briefings to include this line of software and to bulk up Brain Machine. So we're going to go ahead and be looking at these briefings for the Al Stock Alerts and Mastering, because I want you guys to have another tab open so you could essentially be able to follow along and really get the most out of that time. For if you have any questions for stocks and want things analyzed from an educational perspective. Another thing, the Labor Day sale for the Mastering is going to be ending on not Monday night, because it's the weekend, like Tuesday 9 a.m. or something. So definitely take advantage of that. It is our biggest sale. It will be ending soon. Coupon code, it'll be down below. Labor 150 off of the Mastering or bundle, $150 off. And congratulations to all of the people that signed up, and just wait for the transformation you guys are going to go through. You guys are going to, the way you look at the stock market is going to be completely different after this whole thing gets connected and downloaded in your brains. Al, is there contact information for Al Stock Trades? Need some help? Yeah, of course. So there's a couple. I have a secretary that we have. You can contact her at support@alstocktrades.com. So support at the name of our channel.com. Right there, right? Al Stock Trades. Or you can just contact me directly. And this is my email here. al@alstocktrades.com. Right? al@alstocktrades.com. Or just if you just want to contact support, contact support at alstocktrades.com. So that's our email. It's very simple, right? So there, now we got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and give you some market updates. I wrote some stuff down. All right. And again, apologize for my voice here. Okay, so and I have some diagrams for you. So the U.S. officials, you guys heard of it, informed in NVDA, that they must stop selling 2 of its significant chips used in artificial intelligence to the Chinese companies. This is going to cost NVIDIA around $400 million. You know, I never really get to see, the way the United States works is it tends to respect free markets, not just in the United States, but as a whole around the world. So this is definitely an overreach of that, but this is something we have to analyze here. Artificial intelligence is the future. Okay. Artificial intelligence is getting to a point where if a country, it's like a nuclear weapon. Okay. If you don't have it, you don't have any negotiation skills in the world global form. Or there's a guy I follow on TikTok, not every day, but just every like couple months. The new world order, right? The way he says it, right? Right? The way he says that, right? Okay. So this is a big deal. I assume NVIDIA, stock price is definitely took a hit, but I do believe that them doing this is going to make future incentives for the government to give them a deal that will benefit them in the long run. Again, the way the government works is they say we could make your job harder, or you could continue selling, and we will give you some we're going to give you a problem, or you can stop and we can go ahead and give you more benefits. A lot of laws are going to be passed for chips, and you will be first in line. So I actually see this as a bullish indicator for NVIDIA. Remember, you got to do with the opposite things. Now, Nancy Pelosi, if you would have tracked her, you would have seen she sold out on the NVIDIA, was it calls or whatever? And she saved about 6 figures, okay? So for all the people that are in our Al Stock Alerts, there's a section you can look at called Senate and House. And also we're giving you more insider and Congress trading capabilities to get that information so you can track what the people in the White House and House of Representatives and Senate are doing. And then also for the mastering students, you have access to both. Go on our website and you're able to see in a bigger format what these people are doing. Okay. I would look at who goes back into NVIDIA, and I bet you it's going to be before a vote. And I bet you they're going to probably get it. Okay. So it's going to cost them $400 million. So I bet you they're going to get way more money than that at the US. Someone said it. It said more chips inflow into the United States market. So I'm in Arizona. Currently, my governor, Doug Ducey, just recently posted how Arizona is going to be a chip hub, how Intel, we made a deal with them to invest approximately $20 billion in Arizona, how they're going to be a hub for chips. If you don't know this, let me be your first person to tell you this. We have gotten in. We're in a world now where we are no longer requiring our things to be made outside of the United States. China is, I would say, no longer a place where you could get cheap labor done. As technology changes the lives of the rest of the world, it starts to amplify the intelligence of the developing world economy, meaning that 100 years ago, the workers in these areas, from a capitalistic perspective, sadly, not from a humanistic, I'm a humanist, but from a capitalistic perspective, their labor and their worth of their labor in terms of how much we pay for it, we undervalued it. Now that as we've aged in and entered this fourth industrial revolution, we're getting to a point where labor is becoming more expensive. So the cool part about this is it's going to bring a lot more jobs over to the United States. And now we are going to be producing the things that we use, right? And we are going to be producing the things that other countries use. So everything's going to be starting to essentially be made in the United States. Okay. Quick one, Discord kicking me out. Hopefully, once I join the mastering today, will be work. Oh yeah. So once you show, there's another way. If if it won't kick you out. There's another package that we have, but the mastering is part of that. So we have the mastering is part of that package, and that is intrinsic to the Al Stock Trades website. The other one is through LaunchPass, which you just reminded me I have a meeting with. I have to talk to those developers to see what's going on with the coding. But definitely we will once you go on our website, it's clean. It's again produced in-house, in correlation to what we're talking about here with the United States. And don't forget the Labor Day 150, which is we'll get $150 off. Okay. So why, would you might ask, did the United States tell NVIDIA to stop this connection to China in terms of selling to China? Well, a while back ago, a couple days ago, I communicated to the YouTube community on our communities tab. You guys can follow if you go to the community. I post about it. I said Ray Dalio sold his position majority stake in Chinese companies. He still has a couple. And it's funny because right before that, a bunch of things happened, like what we heard about with the NVIDIA in China. Now, what are the repercussions of NVIDIA not giving them these advanced chips? Well, again, artificial intelligence, think of it as the new nuclear bomb for the next generation. If you have AI, you're going to be able to cripple a system. AI is going to get to a point where the computer, which we already see now, has the ability to understand, why am I living? And has the ability to understand emotion. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? There are some scientists at Google working on this, and it's getting to a point where they're awake, if that makes sense. They have a conscience, which is like really weird, and a lot of ethics with that either, because it's like, they say, I don't want to die. I don't want you to turn me off. Yeah, which is really impressive. So that's pretty cool. And it's going to get to a point where it's very clear that a computer is able to think things through faster than that of a human. And if we get to a military that is capable of having these machines coordinate and dictate a chess movable play, their ability to win a war and execute it'll just happen. So Washington is restricting the U.S. technology from essentially powering China's military capabilities. Also, this is a retaliation against the sanctions that we imposed on Russia. China has been buying Russia's oil and selling it to Europe. So you know how we did all these sanctions and all that? Well, Russia's getting their money from China, and China now is selling their oil from back to Europe that Russia doesn't sell to Europe. So you see how it's kind of like a middleman now? Nothing's really changed. Are these sanctions working? Also, can someone tally up how much billions of dollars we sent to Ukraine? It's a lot. I just don't know. I haven't done it. I know it's more than 13 billion because they just sent that over like a couple days ago. Okay. So on top of this, Chinese cities are locking down. A city of 21 million shut down over COVID because of Chinese COVID policy. Now that directly affects the market because we're still reliant on China and this will still affect the global supply chain issue. Now, this is great for inflation, right? But again, we're still trying to restart this economy from the pandemic, and China's really dragging its feet along. Okay. The problem with this shutting down, it decreases consumer sentiment, which definitely is not helpful. Now let's switch over to the Federal Reserve. So these are my concerns. My concern is with China and Taiwan, how that's going to play out. Because once we figure out inflation, best believe all eyes are going to be on China and Taiwan. Are we going to get in a war? Oh, that's going to affect the market. Oh, we have to wait another year. Oh, we're going to have another bear market. Listen, there's always going to be a problem in the market. There's always going to be a problem. Okay. And your job is to look at what sectors could be affected during these tumultuous times. Okay. So like back when the pandemic hit, well, I'm like, well, think about it. The pandemic's hitting. What are all the companies that are associated with hygiene? Those went up like crazy. What are companies associated with mRNA technology? Oh, those went up really well too. So you have to understand and study the dynamics of the market and know what does what in good or bad times. And the only way to do that is through education. You got to study the markets in 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s, and you get the point. You got to study them and see how did the markets react. What was the psychology of the market? And if you think the people back in the 30s and 40s thought differently than what you think now, you're sadly mistaken. History always repeats itself, and the people that study it become wealthy. Because if you say, "Oh man, I wish I went back to 2000 and I wish I thought Amazon, oh, I would have totally put my money in Amazon." You could do something like that if you go back 100 years and study. Then you'll able to pick up patterns of what society did and then apply those patterns, and you'll be ahead. Because someone who only is alive for 40 years, who hasn't read anything, has only, let's say, 40 years of life experience versus you've studied history as a whole, 200-300 years, let's call it. And each person that you studied has studied over their 100-200 years, and you keep adding that to your brain. And you get to a point where you have so much wisdom that you're able to navigate the market, and that's that's what we're trying to teach. It's hard. This is not a get rich quick. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over this. And that sadly, this is a bit longer video, but I'm just giving you what I'm seeing. These are, China is a problem right now. The chips, semiconductor. There is a potential war that might happen. Just yesterday, China warned that they're going to retaliate if they keep helping out Taiwan, right? So there's some problems right now we have, and it's not, everyone's like, whoa, this came out of nowhere. Only if you're not paying attention. And in this channel, we like to keep you updated on these things, right? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the FOMC policy. So these are all the tightening and easing cycles. Obviously, if they're negative, they're easing, and if they're positive, they're tightening. So we really haven't had a tightening phase since the 1957. We had 6. 1973, we had 7. And now on August 30, we've had a total of 4. So I guess from these graphs, I would like to say, well, I think we may see 3 more tightening cycles. And many of experienced investors look at this data, and I like to show you this and give it to you in a nice way, so to help you with your investing, because no one's talking about this. Okay. And these are the things that smart money is looking at. So I think you can call it 3 to 4 more tightening cycles. JP Morgan thinks it's going to be a 75 basis point in September and subsequent fall after that, possibly a 50-50 and a 25. We'll see, right? Now, how do we know? Well, if we go ahead and do the graphs from 1955, with the data points that you saw in regarding to the tightening of the FOMC? Well, you can, let's again, 19 in the 50s, and then you have the 70s, and then now you have in the 20s. Again, like I told you, we haven't really tightened that much. And if you really want to call 88 a tighten, it was just one time. Now, if you looked at it since 2000, you might hear a lot of wealthy people talk about this. Oh, we've been really doing a lot of monetary easing since 2000 and, 2002. And then the whole FOMCs around the world, the Federal Reserves around the world started basically easing. And this is what's led to this buildup of inflation. Well, now we're trying to reset. And I believe this reset was necessary for the beautiful growth that we saw right after. So where could we go and how much we can go? Well, I think personally, if they were going to increase, and again, these are the tightening cycles in, you want to look at, at almost like the federal funds rate, right? Look at basically how far this can go. What could be the level of tightening? Well, I personally think a good baseline would be it would be 5. 5. I think the market is expecting anywhere between there. I would say this would have some definite ceiling effect in terms of how much they could bring it back, bring up this tightening cycle. I think it's going to oscillate anywhere between here. And this is something we definitely want to look at. Now, if you look at the concepts of don't fight the Fed, this is what they're talking about. When they tightened here, what happened? The stock market fell. When they tightened here, what happened? The stock market fell. Okay? Again, we're tightening here. And the effects of the tighten hasn't, I believe, been felt throughout the economy just yet. Now, let me add. The stock market has become more efficient over the years. Back in the 50s, if you want to buy, you would have to call someone. Then they would have to basically connect the phone lines, right? Have to go ahead, take a paper, send it, and then send it along the way. And all that takes time, which then the global effects of the markets are not as prognostic for the future. Okay. But now we've received a time where we have Robinhood, Webull, Thinkorswim, the TD Ameritrade platform. We had all of these things, right? And now the markets become so efficient that hedge funds need to act fast. And I believe maybe we done majority of that dip. And maybe now it's just left to pockets of stocks that are above their intrinsic value. You see, a great way, I would say, to explain this, and I say this over and over again, but I can't overemphasize how important this is. But if I were to show you this graph, normally stocks intrinsic value is the line that you see here. The black line is the intrinsic value. That's the thing that we calculate in our intrinsic value calculation, the Mastering Stock Market course, and our automatic calculator, the calculation that does it, that pulls it automatically from Wall Street in our stock alerts. Now, the mastering is a more accurate because it gives, you put in the data and, you can modify it per the company's standing, whether they're free cash flow negative or positive. Okay. Now, I believe that there is a graph for every stock right now in the market. Every stock. Apple has its own intrinsic value, and the stock could be here. The stock could be above the line. Clover, it happens to be below the line. So every stock in the market right now has its own intrinsic value graph. And you have to decide, as an investor, where on the graph is it? Is it over the line? This is the line, the intrinsic value, or is it below the line? Is it over the line? Meaning, is it overvalued? Or is it under the line? meaning is it undervalued? And this is a concept that a lot of people struggle with. This is a concept that most people don't teach. This is a concept that a lot of wealthy people use. Again, this is a concept that works over time, 3 to 5 years. Okay. So these are the questions that you have to ask yourself. Retail investors have a tough time determining value because they don't know where to get that information, and they don't know how to use that information, and they don't even know how to calculate and get the value of a stock, which is exactly what we teach. I believe this is the best thing that we offer, honestly, is giving you this. Obviously, there's other things we offer, and we like to be a one-stop shop, but I think this is the best of value because I believe this builds generational wealth. Okay. Generational, not just, oh, I have enough to buy a car. Oh, you know what I mean? It's like, that's not wealth, right? Oh, I can buy a Gucci belt or a Salvador Ferragamo belt or a Cartier watch. You get the point. Or a Perrier, all these different types of things, or Hublot. That's not wealth. I'm talking about things that will consistently pay you in free cash flow to feed your family, right? Without having to work. So that is the concept of intrinsic value. And some stocks are above that, and some stocks are under that. So it's up to you to figure out what stocks they are, because I do believe we are going to drop. And the drop that we're going to see are going to be in stocks that were above the line, right? So let me just give you some experience. Normally, people do not buy stocks during here. I personally like to buy. I like this. I buy here, 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 here. And if once I get to close to underprice, which are my calculations tell me in the intrinsic value, I go heavy here, like for Clove, right? And then once we get closer to here, like let's say the $6, I slow down. Then after that, I stop. And then what you can do is you could sell here if you want, or you can go here. But most likely, investors are going to start buying here. They're going to push you to the top. Then you can do your 200-day moving average, your analysis, just like January of 2021. And then you can go ahead and use technical analysis and fundamental analysis, right? And there's something that you could basically use called an ascending stop loss. That's what I call it, right? You set a stop loss, and as the stock price goes up, your stop loss increases with it. And some people just play with house money. And then if it drops 10 to 15%, depending on your risk tolerance, it automatically sells, depending on where it ascends up to, based on the volume and all those other things. So that is what I'm looking at in the market. That was what's going on in my head, right? All right, let me go through some questions. All right, and let me drink some coffee. There's like ice. Sometimes the ice floats on the coffee. You got to shake it up a little bit. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. I don't know what this means. Sorry. Let's Google it. You are a butthole. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I don't know what that means. Okay. Really low. Yeah, I agree. I think I guess a more general non-verbal, like sophisticated vocab to use is all the paper-handed people need to sell, right? I guess that's some retail talk, right? Hey, you got my interest, but because something I own but didn't know the stock. Well, yeah. Take a look at our videos and take a look at the financials. Read. You got to look at what they're doing, like the CFO. There's mathematical ways to measure a stock, and there's also non-mathematical ways, like looking at management, looking at how they operate, looking at what they're doing. And those are important. Looking at the context of a stock. I'm in healthcare. I know that there are 10,000 Americans turning 65 years of age every day. I know that primary care is going to be so important in the future. It is already now, but it's going to be way more important because we have an aging population. I know that our healthcare system is messed up. I'm in it. I know that we need help and use AI and machine learning to help us with this thing called healthcare that we have in this country. So there's other measurements that you can look at, right? And that's something that comes with experience. Um, yeah. So if you are part of our Al Stock Alerts, go down in the poll section, put that you want to talk about this stock, and then we're going to be doing bi-monthly meetings, or it's going to be a small group of folks that are in our platform, and we're going to go ahead and do the analysis. China now can take Taiwan at this point. Honestly, I think they're going to go for it. I think they're going to go for it. Let's see. Let me go through these questions. Yeah, I agree. The situation that's going on in the market right now is pretty tough. Yeah, and the way China likes to work is China knows that head on they can't fight us, so they fight really differently. They really they're different. They're very smart. They're very strategic. Um, it's different. It's different. I'll tell you. Um, but I'll leave it to the best thing we have. You know, if people that are outside of the United States, there's this running joke. Our DMV, where you get the drivers, sucks. The U.S. Postal Service sucks. Anything attached to the government sucks. But there's one thing that is the best part of the government, and that is the United States military, right? We got the best. I mean, I'm so thankful. That is the only thing that shines. When I say military, all of it, baby. Navy, Air Force, Space Force, you name it. Reserves, right? That's yeah. So we don't mess around there. You go in there, they break you down, and they build you better. And they build you you'll have compassion. But I wish, honestly, I wish we included this in the civilian population. I feel like we'll be better together. I just love the camaraderie they share as brothers, as a unit. Um, I pray. I think neurosurgery is like this as well. The residency, um, they break you down and they build you as a team, like a unit. I love that. It's like your team, oh man, it's amazing. Like that's your team. When one person is down, you carry them up. You know what I mean? One person, has to go to, let's say, spend time with their family. You let them go, you take on their shift, right? You help them out, right? And that's like, I wish we had that in more of the civilian population, because it's really cool to have a wolf pack like that. Like your own unit, like don't F with this unit. And that's what I like about neurosurgery and the military. So that's kind of like my little spiel about that. I'm very fascinated by the psychology, and I'm inspired by it. Um, you know. Okay. Hey, how many shares? So I keep this. So that in order for me to essentially maintain this and do this for the next 10 to 15 years, I can imagine it's already difficult to buy a stock and hold it when it's going down. But just imagine buying a stock and having other people say, "Oh, you're stupid. You're stupid." I used to have all these folks come on when Clover was going down. Oh, bag holder and a boo boo, And I'm just like, oh my god, you know what I mean? So there's a separation that we have, but it's it's a pretty good bag, right? It's a pretty good bag. Um, Finally, the U.S. is responding to China years of aggression. Absolutely. It's time that they pay their share. It's time, and to all my Chinese friends that watch this channel, you agree too. The government can sometimes be overreaching, and I know that you see the beauty in our country more than some of our own citizens see the beauty of what it means to be an American, the freedom that we have, that we take for granted. China's close. Yeah. Possibly. Yeah. I am. Yeah, man. This. Have we failed with regime change? Look at Iraq. Look at Vietnam. Look at Afghanistan. Look at Libya. Oh, the list goes on. Freedom is not free. You can't just give it out like candy. It needs to be earned. And the citizens of those countries need to earn freedom. They need to fight for freedom. You see, we're comfortable to say freedom is in our blood, but it's not really. If we don't keep fighting for it in this country, we're going to lose it. You think freedom is free. We got to fight for it. And sometimes, sadly, we may have to die for it. It's a life that's reality. Sounds like a little extreme, don't you think? But it's true. The flag behind me that you see, the United States flag, you know how many soldiers that died just to keep that flag alive? You understand? It's you got to fight for it. So us going to other countries and think we can offer democracy when they haven't even fought for it, you can't do that. They have to fight for it. They have to die for it, just like we did, right? And that's the beautiful part about this experiment called America. It's a wonderful experiment. And I'm glad that I'm living through this, hopefully in the early parts of the experimental phase. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Oh, wait. My apologies. I didn't say Navy. I said Air Force and all that. Navy for sure. Actually, I have close ties with the Navy. I'm thinking of working with them in the future as a physician. So it's pretty cool. They got some cool stuff there. Future physician. Okay, so yeah, exactly. If you don't care about democracy, then yeah, bankers. Speaking about are you talking about like money and all that? Of course, there's always money involved, right? We are in the business of war in this country. We make money off of war, sadly, and most people get mad at that, but it's true. Raytheon, Palantir, you know what I mean? So all these different types of things, they it's almost like Alex Karp is just waiting for a war. He's like, come on, press the button, Putin. It's just crazy man, right? Are you red pill? I love that saying. There is a post from Elon, how you take the red pill and eat the blue pill, and then the maker of the Matrix told Elon to F off. Oh my God. I'm actually a purple pill, mix of both, right? I'm in the middle, right? I'm in the middle. We're gonna have to come together as a country, and we are so divided. I see the beauty in both. For me, I run a business like a Republican, but I run my clinic like a Democrat. Isn't that beautiful? My brain is Republican and my heart is of a Democrat. When I say Democrat, I'm not saying that the shenanigans that they play, like what Nancy Pelosi's playing, but I'm talking about how they'll have to help the poor, how they'll have to do these things. You know what I mean? But you got to do it in a business way. You can't just do it in a corrupted way, right? So I like to do that. I like to run my businesses as a Republican, but I like to run my clinic, my future clinic, and my interactions with patients as a Democrat. So that's kind of like how I do things. Oh yeah, 50 you're solid. 50 you're solid. That's good. And it's better to, two the $2 is gifts because you can get more shares for your, you know what I mean? Like imagine if, it was $10. That's why I was like, oh my God, thank God for the twos. Oh, U.S. military. Yeah. There's a lot of reliance on that, and and the whole thing with NATO is a lot of countries, like they say, many people in Europe don't respect the United States. How about now? How about now? Now that Putin's blowing down your neck. How about now? Everyone talks crap about the United States. All right. You need our help, don't you? No offense to my European folks, right? But I hate that when I say, oh, when you travel, don't say you're from America. Say you're from Canada. No, I'm gonna say I'm from America. I'm proud to be an American, right? Sorry for my patriotism, right? But I'm very I'm very I love my country. And I love the crazies in my country. You see, when you love something, you want to love all of it, right? You want the good and the bad, right? You mean liberal, not them? Yeah, liberal is pretty crazy. The whole woke, that is something new. That I'm still trying to love. That was a tough one. Is China economically collapsing? Yes, I do believe they're cooking their numbers. I do believe. I also follow Ray Dalio really well. Him selling is a red flag, and I'm trying to see what he sees. Follow Ray Dalio. That guy is a genius. Read his books, all 500 pages of it. Read it. The other one too. About 900 pages of reading. Do it. I agree. I'm more in the middle class also. Common sense is key. Want to talk crap when there is peace, but things hit the fan. Where's the U.S.? I'm proud being American. Exactly. Everyone talks crap and during the peace, but now once crap hits the fan, we go back to our angels, the people that serve in the military. The people that fight for freedom, the Avengers of our current time, right? I love my country, right? And speaking of that, we went a little bit patriarchal there, bringing it back to stocks. China, that's a big problem right now. China's a big problem right now. China, Taiwan, what the hell is going to happen there? Could this be a start of a world war? I don't know. It's tough. So this is something I'm looking at right now is China. How can we look into China? Because Taiwan has a lot of semiconductors and a lot of stuff that is needed. And the U.S. has interest in that. And when we have interest in something, we know what to do. We secured the perimeter around the area, especially the island hopping areas, when we overtook World War II in Japan. So we dominated that region. So we concealed off China pretty well. So we have a pretty good dominance in that area. That's why we're still in South Korea. But there is a shift right now. China, Russia, India are engaging in military exercises. There's a lot of uncertainty, and you got to calculate that within your analysis. Artificial intelligence is definitely the future. So you got to look into those companies and do the intrinsic value. I do believe NVIDIA is here to stay, and it's not going anywhere. I do believe this is something that you need to buy. Again, not recommendation, but you see Kathy Woods doing it. What did Kathy Woods do? She sold out of Tesla, not all Tesla, and she went in and she bought NVIDIA. Okay. Again, there's a lot to dissect here. So sorry for the long live, but I'm just giving you kind of what I think about and how I internalize this data. Why? I study billionaires, and I'm like, why? Why did Ray Dalio sell? What did he keep? He kept other companies. Why did he keep those companies? What sectors are those companies in? What is their revenue growth? What is their competitors? Does Ray Dalio own those competitors? Take the industry in China. Does Ray Dalio own similar industries in the United States, Europe, X, Y, and Z? Take other billionaires and funds. Do they own that? Are there other billionaires owning the same companies that Ray Dalio is owning? These are the questions that go through my mind and what we're going to be teaching you in the course. And to get to that level, you just need some experience. See, knowledge, no, this is knowledge. Let me draw it for you. This is knowledge, okay? Knowledge is a whole bunch of circles, okay? This is experience. This is experience. Is connecting the pieces together and having it fluid shift. The stock market's always shifting and moving, and you have to be adaptable, right? So that's something that, needs to happen. What do you think about, of course, EV plays? Well, I personally think natural gas is going to be increasing, which is why show you. I think, because California is banning gasoline cars in 2035, but you would have to sit down and analyze the graphs of where we think the demand for oil is going to be in the future. And we have to see, are there any specific increases within this demand? And is there a way to exploit this system, and how can we make money off of this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of things regarding natural gas and some data. Now you might say, "Hey, I think Al didn't understand my question." I'm asking about, I'm asking about EVs and stuff. Why is he talking about a gas? Well, there's a reason. Let me show you. Let me show you. Okay. Okay. So let me show you. Okay. So this is the natural gas demand region of 2020 to 2045. You have to ask yourself, why is Warren Buffett buying Oxy? Why does he have other oil company? He owns other oil companies, FYI for people, okay? You have to listen. Right now, we're near here. Look at the projection of natural gas demand in the future. Look at it's OPEC involved. Look at OPEC. OPEC's power is going to continue to grow. Okay. Look at other DCs. India's growing, and the more India grows, the more stronger it needs. China's growing. They need more, right? You need to study the demands. You need to look at the energy, let's say for Canada, and see how they're using energy and what is their total production, and analyze the data and the projections from this research to see where are we headed. It seems to me that 2030s we're going to start plateauing. The growth is not going to be as efficient in 2040, 2050. So I think definitely here we're going to start basically slipping in 2040. That's why I told you. A speculator gambles, an investor thinks 20, 30, 40 years in the future. Okay? So personally for me, I think 2025 to 2030, that's going to be a great time to start disengaging from these stocks. I think there's going to be a strong run-up in 2030s, I do believe. But I believe that we are going to get into a shift in this EV plays. I do think they're trading above their intrinsic value right now because they're trading 30, 40 times. Like, for example, let's look up ChargePoint. And let's look at their stock. You look at ChargePoint stock right now, and it's like, oh wow, it's $14. That's great. I mean, a year ago, just look at that. It was up here. It must be cheap. Well, we have to do an intrinsic value calculation on it. Let's just see how many revenue multiples it's trading on. Oh, let me go ahead and figure. We can calculate it here. Un momento. Let's see. Let's just do it here. April. Let's see. ChargePoint. We'll just Google it. Let's see if Google has the answer. Its revenue is around 241 million. Is that right, guys? Can you check that for me? 241 million revenue. Okay. Now look at how much it's net. It's making 241 million every, let's say, a year. And it's currently trading at 4.92 billion. So let's do the math. 4920 divided by, what is that? 241? Is that what we said? It's currently trading 20 times revenue multiple. It's trading 20 times revenue multiple. Okay? Because people expect it to go up in price. But let's say in the future, it's going to trade something like ET, which is Energy Transfer, which I love this stock. And you would have been up 23% over the year, right? And it gives you dividends. And it was a slow riser, but boy, does it pay off. Okay? Now, let's see how much Energy Transfer makes every year. I'm giving you guys some knowledge here. Let's do 2021 revenue so we can kind of get an idea. They made $66 billion in 2021. $66 billion. Now look at the stock. Stock's trading at a market cap of $36 billion. What? They're trading under their revenue mark? That's what I'm saying. I do believe there's going to be a revenue multiple compress once we figure out the value of these EV networks. You can get early, and who knows, it could explode. But I think it needs a little bit more work. I do believe that we need oil and natural gas. Elon Musk, and he's the biggest EV bull of them all, said civilization is going to freaking collapse or whatever, something, if we don't pump more oil or whatever. Okay. So that's why the greatest investor of our time, what is he doing? Oil. And what are we ignoring? Oil. Right. So you got to think about that. Right. So that's how I answer these questions. Haven't you realized you asked me a question, I went opposite. That's what I do. You see, I'm trying to teach you guys again. We'll go over the course, but like, you always want to think of opposite of what people are doing and look at both sides. Again, yin and yang. Most people get stuck on one side, and that's it. They live on one side. Oh, I just hate this person. One person is just a dark person, or one person is just happy. No, you have to be both. You have to look at both sides. Okay. All right, let's go ahead. Yeah, absolutely, man. They really do. They really do. They really take it for granted. Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a lot. I mean, the semiconductors that we have now is in 10 years, less than that. We're going to have newer technology. All right, guys. Russia's turning off supply of natural gas to Europe is a problem, but you know what? They're selling it to China, and China is basically selling it back to Europe. So that's more for crude oil, right? All right, guys. Love you a lot. Again, just for some housekeeping stuff, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be starting up a new program with the bi-monthly meetings. Labor Day sale does end on, so it's Labor Day's Monday, but I pushed it. It's going to end Tuesday morning. And after that, the $150 the coupon will not be available. And we are going to be increasing course prices soon. So there's the housekeeping for the weekend. I hope this was a great look at the Federal Reserve FOMC meetings. How many cycles of tightening should we expect? There's a lot of in this video. We slowed it down a little bit, talk to you guys, and give you some things, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I love each and every one of you, and I will see you on the next one.